This is Chapter 5 of Cromwell Croquet, Book 1 of the Mysteries of Brambletown series. If you miss the earlier chapters, the links are in the description. Previously, following 3 encounters in quick succession with Archibald Valmont, most notably the last, when Rosabelle delivered his Cromwell croquet games and caused a spectacular commotion on Thornbury Street, a rumour began to circulate. With Valmont seen entering her shop twice in as many days, and Rosabelle later visiting his home, the neighbourhood quickly concluded that a proposal was imminent. By the time the gossip had run its course, Rosabelle found herself the unwilling target of every eligible man in town. Arthur Cromwell was beside himself. Surrounded by a string of suitors, all demanding to see his daughter, Cromwell Sr. was doing his best to fend off the intruders by blocking the shop door with his broad back.
"Gentlemen, I'm telling you, she isn't here. Step back, gentlemen. Be reasonable. Do step back, I say. Ah, troll's blood, Rosabelle. What is this madness? Every single one of these people has asked for your hand, one after the other."
"Don't swear on troll's blood, father. It's terribly coarse."
The half-dozen men suddenly turned towards Rosabelle, and an avalanche of partially plucked bouquets rushed at her. She heard her name on every tongue, repeated over and over to catch her attention. "Will you marry me?" was shouted in haste, as though the first to ask might be the first to succeed. The bouquets collided, scattering ever more petals across the floor, and 2 self-proclaimed suitors were bashing each other over the head with what remained of their bare flower stems, wielding them like weapons. One of them had the advantage. His stems still had thorns.
"Gentlemen, do stop this at once, I beg you."
The assembly froze under the imperial command of a Rosabelle wound up like a clock.
"What you believe to be true is nothing but a crude rumour. I am promised to no lord, nor to Mr. Valmont, nor to anyone else. Now kindly clear off from in front of the shop. You're driving away customers."
The members of the group eyed one another, waiting to see what the others would do. Should they believe her? Or was she merely saying this to dismiss them? Seeing that no one moved, Rosabelle added action to words. She drew her wand from inside her bodice and pointed it at the crowd of would-be suitors.
"Off you go,"
she exclaimed threateningly. Most of the suitors fled without waiting to be told twice. The next second, only one bold little blonde remained on the pavement. His knees were trembling slightly. Perhaps imagining he might prove his worth through bravery, he stepped forward, bouquet extended towards Rosabelle.
"Miss Cromwell, would you accept becoming my—"
The spell flew without further warning. A spark shot from the wand. An instant later, nothing remained of the bouquet but a few pitiful, charred stems. One of them crumbled into dust on its owner's shoes.
"I said out."
Rosabelle repeated, eyebrow arched, eyes hard. The young blonde man held back a tear before turning on his heel, with as much dignity as the situation allowed. On the threshold, eyes wide, Arthur Cromwell looked at his daughter in disbelief. Her cheeks were flushed, as they always were when she grew angry, and her mouth was set tight. So her father did the only thing he could do in such circumstances. He turned the shop key in the lock of the door he had so fiercely guarded, and invited his daughter to go and have some tea. The silver teapot had been Rosabelle's favourite tea room since she was very young. She had always found the antique silver teapots and teacups particularly elegant. The steam from her drink tickled her nostrils, which always had a calming effect on her. She badly needed it to explain to her father how, and above all why, he had ended up playing doorkeeper in front of a crowd of men who had stripped the neighbouring florist bare, forcing him to close early. He had sold his entire stock for the day in record time. Proof, if ever it were needed, that one person's misfortune was very often another's good fortune.
"Valmont, you say?
Arthur was thinking, staring up at the ceiling. Suddenly, his eyes lit up.
Of course. Good old Freddie Pickwick. A good sort, that one. Oh, if you only knew, Bella, the scrapes we got into together. There was a whole gang of us, and Pickwick was never the last to come up with some crackpot idea. I'm not surprised he made his fortune. He was a clever little devil.
Rosabelle was looking at him as though she hadn't understood a single word of her father's monologue, which he eventually noticed before starting again from the beginning.
You're Lord Valmont.
He's not my lord.
His daughter cut in sharply. She was now realizing what she herself had deliberately put Archibald through when she had referred to Lady Talloway as his lady, twice, no less. It really was terribly irritating.
That lord is Pickwick's son, if my memory serves.
But are you sure? Because I'm fairly certain he goes by the name Valmont.
He was born a Valmont, through his mother.
Why would he take his mother's name?
Because Valmont is noble, but Pickwick is…
Vulgar.
I was going to say common.
More than common for a Lady Valmont, if you ask me. You said this Freddie Pickwick made his fortune. Do you know in what?
Modern lavatories, very practical.
Practical being synonymous with vulgar on Thornbury Street.
Arthur could only agree.
So that's why Lord Valmont is, shall we say, so particular.
Particular?
Yes, I can't quite describe it. He has this sort of lightness about things. He isn't formal, not in the strict sense, you see. And yet he's perfectly moulded to the stiff manners of his class.
Arthur looked at his daughter with an amused eye.
You seem to have observed this lord particularly well.
I hope you are not implying what I think you are implying, Father.
Not at all.
Arthur lied, the irony cutting through his voice.
You know perfectly well I do this with everyone. Analysing people, I mean.
Even me?
Especially you. In fact, I did nothing but that all through my childhood. Sorry to disappoint you.
Arthur laughed into his cup as he swallowed the last mouthful.
I was merely saying that this lack of hauteur, I must say, despite his title, certainly comes from his paternal lineage.
Which you approve of, I presume.
I have no need to approve.
But you do approve.
Rosabelle arched a threatening eyebrow.
Where exactly are you going with this?
I haven't the faintest idea what you mean, my daughter.
You haven't the faintest idea. And yet, you keep insinuating.
I insinuate.
For a quarter of an hour now, in fact.
Don't get angry, my Rosabelle, I'm just saying… Well, you know, I wouldn't want you to remain…
A spinster.
Arthur sighed.
I'm not even 30 yet.
At your age, young people are already married and have…
Children. I know. I don't need that. I have you. That's enough for me.
Arthur sighed again.
Will you stop this performance, Father?
Rosabelle, my dear.
Don't start that again.
I don't want you to end your life alone, that's all. One day, I won't be in this world anymore, and then you…
Don't talk about it.
Rosabelle!
Don't talk about it. I'm telling you.
You can't run from the subject all your life, my daughter. I know that since your mother's accident you…
Father.
That since the accident you have always stayed by my side, so that I wouldn't be alone to fill that unbearable absence, but…
A tear rolled down Rosabelle's cheek. She pressed her lips together and closed her eyes.
You spent your days shut up in the shop, managing everything as your mother did. You gave up your dream so that mine, ours, your mother's and mine, could go on living through you.
Rosabelle wiped her cheek with the tip of her finger.
You couldn't have kept the shop going on your own. You had to go on inventing new games. Always new games. Constantly renewing the window display so the shop wouldn't go under. What would we have done if it had? That shop may have been your dream, Mother's and yours, but it was also our only way of surviving.
Yes, we survived, thanks to you, my Rosabelle. But now you must think of yourself. Fall in love, get married, start a family.
Abandon you.
I'll soon retire. I could sell the shop. It would be enough to see me through my old age, and you could free yourself of this burden.
Never. Selling this shop would be like… No, she wouldn't have wanted us to sell.
She would have wanted you to be happy.
I am happy.
Truly?
Yes, I love this shop. I grew up in this shop. All my memories are here.
Memories belong to the past, Rosabelle, and I am already old. I can't go on inventing new games forever. What will you do then?
We have an entire stack of plans and rules ready to be marketed. You have always invented faster than we could produce. We have years of games ahead of us, not to say decades. You could stop today if you wanted, and I could go on running this shop until I'm 90 without ever running out of new games to sell.
At the neighbouring table, a newspaper that had remained raised since the beginning of the Cromwell's conversation dropped sharply, revealing behind its lines a man with a keen eye and long, slender fingers.
Forgive me, I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. Are you the owners of that magical games shop on Broome Street?
Indeed we are.
Arthur couldn't help replying, preening.
And you were considering selling, perhaps?
Arthur fidgeted nervously with his fingers before answering.
Well, in fact...
You've misunderstood, sir.
Rosabelle interrupted, fixing her gaze on the steel-blue eyes of the man who had approached them with such interest.
I would be prepared to buy it from you at a good price.
Arthur opened his mouth, but didn't have time to utter a word.
It is not for sale, and it never will be.
She had spoken that last word while sharply turning her chin towards her father, addressing him more than the stranger.
I see,
the man replied, attempting to calm the situation. He rummaged in the inside pocket of his jacket and produced a business card, which he handed to Arthur.
If you ever change your mind...
Rosabelle was the quicker. She snatched the piece of card and offered the man a forced smile.
We'll let you know.
Then she added,
In another life, perhaps.
The man nodded, polite, though clearly thinking otherwise. He folded his newspaper, left it on the table along with a few coins to settle his order, set his hat upon his head, and left the tea-room in long strides. Rosabelle waited until he was out of sight before leaning back against her chair, arms crossed.
The nerve!
Arthur said nothing.
You're not saying anything.
Indeed, he said nothing. Rosabelle narrowed her eyes, thoroughly vexed. She moved slowly towards her father, leaning forward, both hands flat on the table.
I would like things to be very clear, if you please, father. Never, do you hear me? Never will I sell the shop that Mother and you built. Mother's share is now mine. I inherited it, and I will not throw it to the first stranger who wishes to seize it. You are tired and wish to take a well-earned retirement. Very well, I understand perfectly. I could continue to run the shop on my own. You can live off the shop's income as we already do today. Nothing needs to change, father. Absolutely nothing. I will go on serving customers and managing the manufacture of the games, as I have always done since Mother's death. As she did.
Arthur remained silent for a few seconds, seeming to weigh his daughter's words.
Very well. I understand. You seem quite determined. If you wish to keep the shop, if that is truly your choice, then so be it. I will do nothing that might deprive you of it. I only hope that this choice will truly bring you happiness and not prevent you from living it fully. I wouldn't like you to drown yourself in work to the point of forgetting to live, or to prevent yourself from meeting someone with whom you might share moments as wonderful as those I shared with your mother.
To be perfectly honest with you, since we're saying things as they are, I made the decision to remain a spinster a very long time ago.
Arthur looked as though he might fall off his chair at this revelation.
But why?
He exclaimed. For Arthur Cromwell, this declaration was utterly unnatural. To him, life was only worth living if it was shared with someone. He had always been a great romantic, and when he had met the woman who would become the mother of his daughter, he had loved her so deeply that he could not imagine anyone willingly depriving themselves of such a human connection. To which Rosabelle replied,
Because I saw what it does to a heart to lose a loved one. I do not wish to relive what we have already lived through once. Even today, I still wonder how we managed to survive it, you and I. Perhaps because we were together, but perhaps also because, in truth, we are both pretending a little, and deep down, we never truly survived it.